Very well. Okay, so it's 5 minutes past 7 a.m. Welcome back to the show. Good morning, Kenya. Being Tuesday, we'll take a quick look at what we have on our local dailies. Thereafter, get into our discussion and our topic here with my guest already in studio. So just be sure to join that discussion. My colleague Regina has just stepped out, but she asked the issue of Kajiado being the fastest growing counties in Kenya. And what are the possibilities? What are the contributors to that? The Deputy Governor is here to tell us more. Remember, you're also celebrating 14 years of devolution. Exactly 14 years ago, the new constitution was promulgated at Uhuru Park by then late President Mwai Kibaki. How is it like? But before then, let's take a look at what we have on the papers. Let me start with the Standard. The Standard says, man of the moment. That is what we have here. And the man of the moment is Honorable Raila Odinga. This is with regard to his AU bid, the candidature to the AU. And now that is what we have, man of the moment, of the front page of the Standard newspaper. President William Ruto is today expected to officially launch Raila Odinga's AU bid at State House, with at least 4 African presidents expected to attend. This marks a significant milestone in the political life of Raila as it cements his stature as an African statesman. This is on the flash of the Standard newspaper. And now, let me just verbatim. We have an opportunity to produce the next AUC chairman, and we must work together because it's not a position that belongs to a person, but our collective responsibility. That is according to President William Ruto. Still on the front page, we have anxiety as learners troop back to school. Nat and Kupet, yeah, they're still in the boxing ring. Who is going to surrender? We all know that Nat called off the strike, but Kupet says, hold on. So more Kenyans turn to digital lenders to cope. It also says that they are faced with soaring food prices. A growing number of Kenyan households are increasingly relying on mobile loans to make ends meet. Very quickly on the second page, Apple task for a town that shuts down at 9 p.m. to compete as city. This is Eldoret town. Unlike other Kenyan cities, Eldoret is one city without traffic lights. Did you know that, Vivian and Mike?
No.
There is no single traffic light in Eldoret.
That is interesting.
That is very interesting.
None.
It's a city now. So
yes,
that should be looked into.
Yes, I think the leadership there should look into that and make sure.
How is there no traffic light?
There's no traffic light.
Not a single one?
No.
Oh, that's interesting.
Not even a single one.
That's interesting.
I think it's, I don't know how it operates, but Eldoret is quite an interesting place.
Yeah.
And it's very cold at night. At around midnight or something, it's always very cold. So now they claim that they're facing huge taxes associated with the city elevation. Only how many days after that was elevated to city status? 12 days. And now they are now feeling the heat of high taxes.
Of that upgrade.
Exactly. But hey, just hold. Just hold. It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
So we have here, Raila pushes for closer African unity, integration, and more trade. That is in his bid for the AU position. Azimio la Umoja Raila, leader Raila Odinga has also called for escalated unity and integration among African countries. He was at the Festac festival in Kisumu yesterday. Actually, he was accompanied by former Nigerian President Mzee Obasanjo himself. This is continued on page 4 with Obasanjo here in Kisumu, Ruto to unveil Raila's campaign for Africa Top Job. And Uganda's Yoweri Museveni in Tanzania's Samia Suluhu are expected to attend the event. And also Raila says that he envisions a united Africa characterized by peace and prosperity. Very quickly, the presidents who are expected to attend, they include Yoweri Museveni of Uganda, Samia Suluhu of Tanzania, Salva Kiir of South Sudan, and Hassan Sheikh Mohammed of Somalia. Burundi Prime Minister Gavis is also expected, and Rwanda Foreign Affairs Minister Oliver Nduhuru Hindria I beg your pardon
Okay,
about
you
that.
just butchered that name.
Just
Ndohungirehe is also expected to attend. I beg your pardon about that.
Yeah.
All right. They're also expected to attend amongst other top dignitaries at State House in Nairobi. Vivian.
All right, I have with me a copy of the Daily Nation, and in the front page of the Daily Nation, we have a standoff, a 5-hour-long meeting between union leaders representing post-primary school teachers and government officials yesterday failed to unlock a stalemate, signaling possibility of confusion deepening today when most secondary schools are scheduled to open. Yesterday, the first day of a third term, saw some high school tutors stage protests across the country, and they have a picture of some teachers protesting in Nyeri County. And then this is also as primary schools got to record low turnout after NAT cancelled the strike. And then we also have a story whereby it says, from a mechanic to police chief. His dream before joining the National Police Service was to work for a big motor vehicle garage. This is a story of Deputy Inspector General, that is Eliud Lagat, whose story has been laid out on that page 2 of the Daily Nation, where they've just laid out a story of his rise, from a mechanic to the Inspector General of Police, Deputy Inspector General of Police, that is. And then we have a story on page 3 of the Daily Nation whereby Kenya Police in Haiti set to get salaries this week. Now, Kenyan police officers deployed on a peacekeeping mission in Haiti will receive their delayed pay this week. Acting Inspector General of Police, that is Gilbert Masengeli, said in a statement yesterday that the National Police Service is working closely with other countries, partners, and the United Nations to ensure continued support for the multinationals' security support mission that is happening in Haiti. Another story that is making headlines on the Daily Nation is a story of the pass out that happened yesterday, that is the NYS pass out that happened at Gilgil yesterday, where the president was presiding over that. And the president mentioned that NYS recruits will be trained on handling firearms. That is also a story on the Daily Nation. Another story making headlines on the Daily Nation, as I pass it to Mike to let us know what is on the Star, is Ruto Raila deals signal return of ODM Pentagon. Is that real? Is that not? Mike, what's on the Star?
The story that is making headlines on the Star is Ruto Raila deal to hasten law review. The bid rekindles memories of doomed building bridges initiative of ex-president President Uhuru Kenyatta. That story is told in detail on page 4 and 5 of the Star newspaper. Radical proposals include the creation of Prime Minister's office and official leader of opposition. Read out that story on page 4 and 5 and also on page 2 of the Star newspaper. There's a very interesting story here, still on the front page. Bitter pill to swallow. That is, the new gizmos place men at the center of birth control. That story, you'll find it on page 4 also and 5 of the Star newspaper. It's talking about gender roles have dictated that women are responsible for managing family planning, while men have largely remained on the sidelines. It's a very interesting read for you. Still on the front page, battle for the mountain. Fresh war in Mount Kenya as leaders take on Deputy President Gachagua. That is, Rigathi Gachagua faces a Herculean task in consolidating his Mount Kenya backyard as silent rebellion grows against his bid to lead the region. Jobs scramble looms as commissions fall vacant. That story, you will find it on page 7 of the Star newspaper. And finally, HR consultant reaping big from onion farming. Read that story on page 16 of the Star newspaper. that is where we end the newspaper review, and I hand you over back to Victor to continue with the rest of the program.
All right, before then, let's take a break, and we'll come back. The interview is up next. Stay with us. Okay, welcome back to the program, and now let's get into the discussion. And in the studio, I have Deputy Governor of Kajiado County, our neighbors, not so far away from here. When was the last time you were in Kajiado? Just thinking. There is something good about Kajiado, by the way. The nyama. DG, we cannot talk about Kajiado without the succulent nyama in Kajiado. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
It's been a while.
I'm glad I'm back.
Karibu sana. What have you been up to?
I've been serving the people of Kajiado, people of Kenya. I don't know whether I have come back to KBC after being elected for the second term.
I don't. You've not been here.
But I want to thank God and thank the people of Kajiado for according my boss and myself a second mandate to serve them. And we've been tirelessly working for the people of Kajiado. And that is what I have been up to.
Yeah.
Yes.
It must be an interesting job working with your senior, Governor Lelenku. What have you learned from him to this far?
Governor Olelenku is a very experienced man. We all know that he has served the country as the cabinet secretary in charge of interior. And he came to the devolved units, was elected as governor. And he picked me right from the university. I was a student leader, and immediately I'm done with my studies and my leadership in the university.
Yes.
He picked me up, and all this time, I would say it has been also a moment of mentoring. I've been watching him closely, learning the ropes, and I think I'm now fully backed.
Yeah.
I have learned a lot in leadership, and he's an extremely good man to work with.
Yeah.
Yes.
I believe learning is a continuous process, and you're still continuing to learn more from that.
Absolutely.
Allow me to take you back to 14 years ago. On this particular date, where were you? Or if you, perhaps not even where were you, but if you can remember exactly what happened 14 years ago at Uhuru Park. President Mwai Kibaki lifted a new copy of the Constitution. The promulgation happened at Uhuru Park. It was a thunderous moment. Seeing Uhuru Park was filled to the brim. Perhaps just, your memory a bit, what it was like. And before we get into it, what was it like before then, if your memory can serve you right?
Well, I think 14 years ago, I was in the university. I was a student at Mount Kenya University. And I vividly remember when Kenya was celebrating the promulgation of the new constitution.
Yes.
Thanks to the efforts of many heroes who contributed to Kenya having a new constitution, and thanks to President Mwai Kibaki, who was in power then, who saw to it that Kenya gets a new constitution. I think what we can remember, or what I can just in a summary put as gains of the new constitution is that the new constitution tries to, reduce the absolute powers of the president and, shut it down. We also say that the new constitution has brought devolution. And in devolution, there is the, cascading of services to the lower units of the society.
Wanjiko.
And that is one of the best everything that has happened to our country.
Yes.
And I think the new constitution brought about, democracy, the public participation, social justice. All those are found in the new constitution. Yes.
I'm trying to imagine that before the promulgation of the new constitution, I don't know how Kajiado was like way back then, and now we have it. Do we have a comparison before and now?
Definitely. Right now, services are found closer to the people.
Yes.
I think then the regional headquarters of people like us who are in Kajiado, we used to go to all the way to Nakuru. That is really far.
Because it was a province then.
It was a province then.
Yes.
So, and then, the road network is really bad. There were not faster services like today. So we can see the difference. Right now we have the county government. Services are closer to the people. And yes, there is a big difference. Yes.
When you look at what is happening right now, a majority of counties are recording some great improvement in terms of their services. But my question to you, DG, is do you think the common mwananchi is feeling the change of the new constitution that we have 14 years later?
Yes. I'm told when devolution started, the first cesarean that happened in counties happened in Marsabit. And we know when the governors received this good news about a county government being able to perform a cesarean, service to the people of one lady in Marsabit, governors cried in the room. They were very happy. And right now, the capacity has really been built in almost all counties. For example, in Kajiado, the health services has really improved. Right now, we have over 5 level 4 hospitals from 0. And by the end of next year, we will have about 6 level 4 hospitals and a powerful level 5 hospital, from 0. A lot of dispensaries, a lot of health centers. So there is tremendous improvement. We are reducing that gap that has ever existed. According to World Health Organization, it is a requirement that you walk 5 kilometers and find a health center, dispensary. And a county like Kajiado, you used to go over 30 kilometers to find a health center, dispensary, or a hospital. Right now, we are trying, and we have really tried to reduce that gap. So devolution has made us reduce that, and those are the gains of our constitution.
And I believe this one is also replicated in all the counties in Kenya.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You are the immediate chair of the Deputy Governor's Council. What has it been as a first-time Deputy Governor? Allow me to use this one. One of the youngest, again.
Yes.
Learning from your seniors and also learning after the people who started the devolution. How has it been? Or when you, let me start with this. What was it like being the chair of the Deputy Governor's Council Forum?
I came to the county leadership in the second cycle of devolution.
Yes.
Because I was elected in 2017. And when the people of Kajiado elected me as the deputy governor for the first time, and then the caucus of deputy governors elected me as the vice chair of the forum. And just like the first cohort of deputy governors, we experienced a lot of squabbles between governors and deputy governors then in our first term. Something that we thought that in the third cycle,
yes,
we will be able to correct that.
What were the reasons then?
You know, it is about relations. You know, the relationship between a governor and deputy governor. You know, they have been saying that deputy governors are just flower girls, because if the relations between a governor and the deputy governor is not really working, then there are always fights. And when there are squabbles in a county government, then service delivery is always hampered.
Yes.
And that is not really healthy for you know, the development of a county. We have really attempted to correct the situation. We proposed to the Senate to find some legislations to try and correct the mess. I'm glad that up to when I left office last week, but one, the Senate is almost ready with some amendments to give flesh to the roles of a deputy governor, so that if the relations between a governor and a deputy governor is not really working, the law will make the deputy governor busy by finding what to do.
Yeah, because, you know, the argument was most of the deputy governors did not have a distinctive role.
Yes.
So they were under the mercy of their bosses. If you don't have a job to do, then, as you said, they were like flower girls. And I believe that really demotivated some of the deputy governors to work with their bosses.
Absolutely.
How is it going to change with the law that you're saying that the Senate is also, you know, working on that law? What do you think the future is like for the deputy governors or to the entire system of governance in the counties?
I think what we need is the law to come clear.
Yes.
To give the deputy governor some specific roles. You know, right now, there are some deputy governors who are fueling their cars, whom their offices are closed, whom, security are withdrawn. And this is just because they are not speaking in the same tune with his or her boss.
Yes.
But a deputy governor can only be protected by law. So we want a law that can be able to protect deputy governors. If you are not in the same page with your governor, then the law can still protect you to access facilitation to be able to serve your people. So thanks to the Senate, the Committee on Devolution, they are really working hard to ensure that there is some kind or level of protection of the roles of deputy governors and how deputy governors really function. And I think one big issue has always been resources. When the office of the deputy governor is not really fully resourced, then definitely squabbles will come in play.
Why has it taken 14 years to resolve this stalemate between the governors and the deputies?
I have really followed it up, and at some point the Senate was again hesitant on trying to give more flesh to the roles of the deputy governor. The reason they had was they don't want to make two centers of power.
Exactly.
Two centers of power.
Okay.
So their argument was the drafters of the Constitution never wanted really to have two centers of power. But again, counties being riddled with all these fights, I think they thought it is important to protect the office of the deputy governor to some level. Yeah, so I think those were the reasoning.
I'm happy that you spearheaded that process, and perhaps the office bearer right now will continue the mantle. Now, let's come back to the real situation here. Let's talk about the equitable distribution of resources to the counties. How are the counties working on under deliberate effort to make sure that distribution of resources the county is something that is open and quickly and timely to Wanjiku?
I think the processes are very clear. There is processes on how those resources are distributed to Wananchi. Of course, we follow budgets that are prepared way before these monies are received. I think the question should be how timely these resources are disbursed from the national government. Treasury, in conjunction with IBEC, normally prepares a schedule on disbursement of these resources. According to the PFM Act, we are supposed, or counties are supposed to receive monies every 15th of the month. But that has not really been honored. We experience delays every other financial year, which is not really good for counties because that occasions delay of services and sometimes that also occasions what we call low absorption rate. I think the question has always been timely disbursement of these resources to the county government so that governors and the rest of the county government can be able to absorb this money and put it to the service of Mwananchi.
The issue of, the national government still holding some functions, and yet they are distributed to the counties. You find that the national government has a say. For example, health is devolved, but a bigger chunk of some instructions and word, disbursement of funds still comes from the national government. How are you trying to resolve this? As the counties, devolution is here 14 years later, but some functions are not fully devolved and supposed to be under the law.
This has always been a clamor for the county governments through the Council of Governors. We have really pushed for all the functions that under Schedule 4 to fully be devolved to the county governments. IGRTC was mandated to ensure that all those functions that are supposed to be devolved to the county government has been implemented, has been transferred, because they say money follow functions. You cannot just receive money without a function. And therefore, for counties to be able to receive adequate funds, the constitution has to be fully implemented by transferring all the functions that are supposed to be transferred to the county government.
And why is the stalemate?
I think it's just a delay. And there is some kind of unwillingness from the national government to fully, transfer these functions to the county government. I think last year we launched that process, and that process was to take a month or two and be concluded. But up to this point, that process has not been concluded. So the president has to help counties to realize, the Constitution.
Yes.
Yes.
I will talk about IBEC. I'm informed that there was a meeting yesterday, IBEC, with the Deputy President.
Yes.
Perhaps you'll tell us some of the resolutions that you had, some of the concerns that you raised with the Deputy President. But before then, there is the issue that people are still grappling with, counties, in as far as devolution is concerned, the two-thirds gender rule. How are you handling it, and what would you take on that?
I think the National Assembly was supposed to come up with a law that will try to correct the gender imbalance. But up to this point, I do not know any law that has been passed on the two-gender rule. Some say that coming up with that legislation, you know, is against democracy. Every person, every gender in this country has equal rights to go and seek any elective position. So that has been the argument. So the National Assembly has always been be pushed to pass a legislation to correct that misnomer. Yes.
Allow me to ask you this question. How do you differentiate, or what should you think Kenyans have achieved so far in terms of governance, you know, 14 years later? And I'm so sure President Mwai Kibaki, wherever he is also happy. You've talked about we have got several gains. But do you think Wanjiku is enjoying the fruit of devolution?
Definitely. I talked about health.
Yes.
Water. We have seen water services going closer to the people. In some communities, the role of fetching water is on the woman. This is a very heavy burden for women in the society. Through the county government, we now have, you know, a lot of boreholes in every community, water reticulation from water sources down to the people, and you know, water is a default function, and the county governments are responsible to ensure that every village has got water. It is no longer like before, where if you want to make a case on, you know, having water in a particular village, you have to look for a minister in the national government in Nairobi. There are now officers in charge of such a function in a county government, and these people are always found in the villages, coming for functions, you know, attending community ceremonies, and Mwananchi will always be able to access this person, ask them about water availability in a given area, and we have seen that as a very big gain. Number two, people have now governments, they feel it's their own governments.
Yes.
And through this, a lot of locals has got, you know, jobs in their counties, and you know, these staff are local. You know, they come from certain villages, and the common Mwananchi will be able to ask these employees of government in the language they understand about services that are provided in a county. And the issue of
accountability. Because the common Mwananchi would want you as a deputy governor, or even your boss, or deputy governors, or counties, that accountability. Yes, I pay taxes. There is that sense of on-source revenue. But where is my money going to? Another thing that Mwananchi should be looking at. Let's talk about the issue of accountability. Just the recent mandamano that we had, the Gen Z talked about accountability from the national government and all that. But I don't think it was only from on the other side of the national government. It also gets down to the counties.
Absolutely.
What do you talk about accountability? Are we exercising accountability? Or even you as leaders, do you take accountability as one of your guiding principles in governance?
Yes, and the law has given a framework on accountability. As the executive, we have a county assembly that keeps the checks and balances for the executive. But on top of the county assembly, we also have other agencies of government. We have the Auditor General that always have a schedule to come and audit all the resources that the county government has spent, especially the executive. And we also have the Senate. Governors appear before Senate to answer any queries that as a result of the audits from the Auditor General. And we also have Wananchi. If some projects are not done and were in the budgets, because we now have public participation.
Yes. Have you done yours? Now you talked about it.
Absolutely.
You're just working on your ADPs.
Yes, we do public participation.
Okay.
And these projects are projects that are passed through public participation. Powers have been given to the common Mwananchi.
Article
It
1.
is no longer the governor to decide whether village A gets a borehole or a road. It is Wananchi themselves who gives, who allocates these projects according to priority. Maybe to village 1, the need is the road. They decide, let's have funds on the road. The other one says it is water. So powers are with Mwananchi now.
Yes.
So they will always have a framework also to ask, how comes we budgeted for a road, we have not gotten a road, we have gotten this. So there is a lot of options for accountability.
Exactly.
Yes.
Let's come to the issue of separation of powers.
Yes.
We have the counties, the executive, we have the national government, we have the executive, legislature, and even the judiciary. Tell me, do you think the distribution of power, separation of power, has been exercised fully under the new constitution?
Yes, to some level we have seen, you know, that autonomy, that independence, and Kenya has surprised the world. When you talk of the judiciary, we have seen our courts ruling against some matters that the government is passionate about. We have seen the cases of BBI in the previous term.
Yes.
That shows some level of independence of our judiciary. We have seen, even in the case of election petition, the presidential petition, you know, our courts saying that we go back to the re-election. That again shows some level of independence.
And even some courts saying that, can you go back and consult?
Absolutely.
More public participation.
Cases of, you know, the other day we had the cases of CAS's positions. Our court said,
it's unconstitutional.
no, this is unconstitutional.
Yes.
We want to appreciate those efforts by the judiciary and many other agencies of our government. But again, I know there are also some efforts to try and, reduce that level of independence, and sometimes through funding of those institutions. So if you cut down the fundings of an institution just because you want to speak in your tune, then that is to really work against the Constitution.
Yeah.
So we will always encourage the executive to fully fund all these agencies and allow them to operate independently without threatening that if you're not going to pass what you want as the executive, we are going to stream you of the funding. That is against the spirit of the Constitution.
Against the spirit of the
Constitution.
Yes. Okay, let's talk about devolution.
Yes.
The SDGs, and of course the issue of the regional economic blocks. We have different regional economic blocks in the counties and all that, but how are they working to hasten devolution? Because first of all, it's devolution, the SDGs, and now we have the regional economic blocks. How are they combined or intertwined?
Mostly the economic blocks consist of counties that have some issues affecting them.
Yes.
Right now, as Kajiado, we have my economic block.
Which consists of?
Kajiado, Narok, and Samburu.
Yes.
But initially, we had Kajiado and Narok as a block. But later, we brought Samburu on board. One, because of the many things that we share in common. One being tourism. We have wildlife, and wildlife contributes a lot to the tourism sector in our country.
GDP of the country, of course.
In the country.
Yeah.
Kajiado has Amboseli National Park. Samburu has Samburu National Reserve. Narok has Masai Mara. And number two, our culture. Our culture, we share the Maasai culture, very strong, is part of the factors that contributes to tourism in our country. And Kajiado and Narok, we share some natural resources, like when you talk of the Wasongiro River, runs across the two counties, and therefore there are things that we can be able to push, projects that can push together as counties, and we have done a lot together. Right now we have what we call the Ma annual festival,
which is always very vibrant.
Very vibrant.
Very vibrant.
Last year we were in Sekenani in Masai Mara. This year we will be going to Samburu, and then next year we will be coming to Kajiado. We expect that in these festivals we will be attracting international tourists who will be visiting our country, and the country will be gaining through culture.
Yeah.
And that is being advanced by an economic block, and many other things. So it is really important. We have seen counties in the north coming together, applying funds together, and they get a lot of funds as a block.
Yeah.
Because some international financiers funds counties coming together more than looking for funds individually. So our coming together even attracts international funding. Yes.
The issue of financial management and the fiscal bit of it, we have the on-source revenue by the counties. I don't know what is your on-source revenue as Kajiado County?
Kajiado County has a potential of up to 4 billion. But I think the highest that we have ever collected is 1.2 billion.
Yes.
We have really put in place measures to ensure that we are going to achieve the potential of Kajiado.
But do you think counties in Kenya are able to sustain themselves through their ORS, OSR, that's the on-source revenue collection, without the contribution from the national government?
With time, capacity is going to be built.
Yes.
And with time, counties can really be able to collect money that will sustain them. But in the meantime, through equitable share, we continue to build capacity for counties to collect more. And these revenues are going to be collected through, land rates, but also to be able to maximize on collection through land rates.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that needs to happen. For example, things like spatial planning. Not many counties have been able to have their spatial plans, and for those counties that has really passed their spatial plans, they would be able to collect more than those that are without spatial planning, because a lot of revenue collection are found on land.
Very well.
Yes.
I love the way you put it. But DG, let's talk about this issue. What are some of the legal and policy frameworks that you think that everybody from the national government, from the stakeholders, from the sector players, including Wanjiku, can do and contribute to hasten devolution?
I think number one, we should all know that devolution is still relatively young. It needs support, needs nurturing, needs building that capacity. The national government should really help counties to build capacity. At the moment, we feel that devolution is threatened.
Yeah. Threatened?
Threatened.
Okay.
Continuous delay of resources to the county government really hampers service delivery. So I would request and mention that the national government should fully support devolution. Mwananchi has a role to support devolution by, paying taxes that are collected in a county government, believe and trust in the processes that are in place. Because most of the time we have used corruption, the word corruption, to deter a flow of services in counties. And sometimes we focus on counties on corruption and we fail to think about the national government.
Yes.
When we talk of corruption in counties, we need to ask ourselves, what percentage of corruption is this that is happening in counties? The share of counties of the total revenues collected nationally is 15%. And out of the 15%, a huge chunk of this money is going to pay, salaries. And therefore, the percentage of what we are following to say it's corruption is a drop in the ocean. So let's not use corruption to kill devolution, to kill services in the counties. So we need to support a devolution, and let's not always think that governors and anyone who works in the county is a corrupt person, and these are people who embezzles public money.
Yes.
That is a narrative, and we should change.
Did you have 2 minutes to wind up this? Time flies so fast when you have a good time.
Yes.
This is so sad. But then the question is, I'm told that Kajiado became the first county to go cashless in terms of revenue collection. How is it?
We're doing well.
You can't take the bragging right. As the only county going cashless.
I don't think we are the only county. We are just among the many counties that that are going cashless. And last week we have signed an MOU with Safaricom, and this is in an effort to ensure that we deepen digitization of revenue collection. Because going digitization and tighten the loopholes, we are going to realize higher revenue collection.
All right.
Yes.
I want to finalize this. So moving forward, devolution is here, 14 years exactly. What is your projection as we move forward?
As I said, devolution is the way to go. But we have a duty to support devolution, to nurture devolution, and to build that capacity of counties for the country to continue realizing the benefits of devolution.
Yes.
We have already seen the gains, and we can't afford to kill devolution. It will be a very, very expensive endeavor.
On a scale of 1 to 10, where are we? 14 years later, on a scale of 1 to 10, and be nice, be generous, not 3, not 4.
According to me, 4 out of 6.
I said not 3 or 4. Maybe 5, 6 moving forward. Okay, I'll take 4. I'll take 4. So we still have a lot of work to do though.
Yes, but we are on the right track.
We're on the right track.
We are on the right track.
Asante sana.
Yes.
Time flies when you're having a good time. And please come again and again and again and again and again.
Asante sana.
And please say hi to Governor Lelenku.
Thank you very much.
Mwambie tuko sawa huku.
Asante sana.
Under Governor Sakaja.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That has been a discussion with the Deputy Governor of Kajiado County, Martin Moshisho, joining us as we take a look at 14 years of devolution in the country. We are taking a break, and you know what, when we come back, now Doramanya is going to take it now on the other side of the Kiswahili version. That is Safari ya Katiba miaka 14 baadaye. And that discussion is going to be handled by constitutional lawyer and politician Ukura Aukot, as well as Millie Lwanga, advocate of the High Court of the Republic of Kenya. Why don't you just take a moment, take a breather, and then join Doramanya after this break. My name is Victor Lo. DJ, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Have a good morning.